And we are live.
We are live at 1:56 in the morning. Why do I have so much energy? Because I took 2 naps this past afternoon. Tyrese, how are you tonight? Or this morning, I should say.
I I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna lost for words for what we
Yeah,
just watched.
fair,
Um,
fair.
and I'm still trying to comprehend everything from the first title fight to the last title fight
Mhm.
to the
Okay,
decision
okay.
to the decision that me and you both think was bullshit, but
Yeah.
we'll discuss it. I didn't get 2 naps like you did, so I'm not refreshed like you are.
Yeah, I definitely got 2 naps, bro. I'm not going front. I always try to nap on the weekends.
And yeah, that was not the card we were expecting or hyped
Mm,
about or were excited about yesterday.
I'll say this, and for those who don't
Please
know,
say, please
this
say what you
past
please
this
say this.
past night, UFC 251 Fight Island, the toted three title fight card that we usually get in January, was now given to us in Abu Dhabi on Yan Island. UFC 251 had the main title event of Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman versus Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Now, originally, of course, Usman was scheduled to fight Jericho Gilbert Burns. However, Gilbert Burns tested positive for COVID. Thus, on a 6-day notice, we had Jorge Masvidal step in. Now, we know from the history of these two gentlemen that they were going to fight at some time. This was the next fight. Everyone knew this is what they should have been booked. However, due to negotiations with contract and things like that, the fight did not take place. But a contender, Gilbert Burns, rose. He then got taken out due to COVID, and then Masvidal was back in the title picture. Of course, got the money he wanted, and then now fought last night.
Nope, that's not even true. He said he got close to it. So
Okay, well, he said he got close to it, so that's listen. He regardless, he got something. He got what he wanted.
he definitely
Yes,
got
for
something.
head politics. Head politics first and foremost. Thank you for being up at this time of night. We
What's up,
appreciate
Black
you being here
Politics?
with us. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're just gonna go about the rest of the fights on the main card. We had Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway, Pete versus Jose Aldo, Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade, and let's go ahead and start with our women's flyweight bout. Amanda Ribas, pronounced in Portuguese, versus Paige Van Zandt. Tyrese, break the fight down for us.
You know what? I'm gonna call it audible. I'm gonna call it audible here. Let's start from the top because
You top from the top. Whoa.
that's more fresh in my mind. And
Whoa.
I just like Vlad Politics said, my brothers Usman came through. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
In my
You want to go
in my
first?
prediction,
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna put it out there. In
Yep.
my prediction, I picked Usman. And the thing about it was that I knew Jorge Masvidal on the feet would be obviously a lot better than I'm sorry, Jorge Masvidal would be better on the feet, just in terms of striking with Kamaru Usman, right? But when I look at the track record of what Kamaru Usman does when he fights strikers, is that he doesn't give the opportunity for him to get tagged up too much, and he engages in these long, hard, grueling fights where he not only clinches with you, but he's able to draw you out and grind you until the very end of the fight. So what I didn't see, my main thing, at least from doing the pre-show or the pre to 251, was wondering how Jorge Masvidal would counteract that, because Masvidal does have great jiu-jitsu. He does have good wrestling defense, which you've pointed out, but he hasn't gone against a guy of Kamaru's caliber, and he hasn't fought those big wars like Kamaru has, in the event that he fought Colby, which was obviously his strong is to date his hardest fight. His hardest fight, in my opinion,
Yep.
is Colby Covington. And he's able what Kamaru's able to do to contenders is going to be along the lines of Khabib at some point, right? We're going to see this pure and utter domination. The only fight where we saw chinks in his armor is because he didn't wrestle was the Colby fight. But what happened in the Colby fight? He finished Colby. So again, I saw this fight going the way it did. I saw that Flathead Politics mentioned that Ben Askren said that Usman would ragdoll Masvidal. Usman did just that. I like, for me, this was clear cut. I mean, I knew Masvidal could touch him, but I just didn't think. I think the defense of working with Trevor Whitman would only help aid that in helping him prevent getting struck too much, so that way he can get to the point where he wants. Again, five round grind fest. I think Kamaru did great. He's a great champion. Tyrese, you could give me a difference. It's up to you. You guys know what you think.
So let's give backstory here, right? So yesterday we did a prediction show, and first of all my predictions were wrong. That's first and foremost.
No.
Yeah,
you predicted. I think you didn't go Holloway, did you? I thought you did Volkanovski. Oh,
yeah.
Hey man, we both listen. We'll talk about that fight next. But go ahead.
So in this one, I was really excited, and I really dug my feet on Masvidal winning this fight, because I thought Masvidal, I believed in the momentum he was on. I believed that it was his time. I believed that he was going to be able to stand upright and defend the takedown, which he was able to do. Credit to him. And I believe he's going to bring the fight to Usman, just like Colby Covington did, but he'll be more technical with it. That lasted all of one round.
Pretty much.
And I don't. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So my thing with Masvidal is he talked about this is going to be, Usman's we're going to try to grapple him. He's going to try to, hold them, crotch sniff, what you talked about in the last show. And knowing all that, being prepared for all that, being trained for months and months and months for that, you just accept it and just let it happen. You put your back against the cage and just welcome it.
I think the original game plan, you're right, was in seeing that was just, hey, do it. And I was like, wait, what?
It's mind-boggling. So, okay, I know this is exactly how you get an easy win, and you could get a win against me. I am going to accept that and just put my back against the cage and let you hold me.
Yeah, I have no explanation, but maybe he thought that Usman would out wrestle himself in the event. But the issue with that is that he did in the very first round when Usman clinched him against the cage and was holding him, and he tried to, he had his head straight in his chest. What happened was one of the bigger things that Michael Bisping pointed out, which was really good. Michael Bisping did some good commentary and he did some bad commentary tonight. But we'll talk about that later. No, I don't think he sucks. You're a little salty, but I will agree. There were some moments in these fights where I was like, wait a minute, what is Bisping talking about? One of the things he pointed out that Kamaru did was that Kamaru was putting his head in, but he also kept his feet far away from Masvidal, and that's what allowed Masvidal to land those inside elbows and things like that, and a lot of those inside knees because they were spaced. But as soon as Kamaru tightened up in the later round one, in rounds two, rounds 5, he didn't have that space to be able to throw those elbows and knees as much as he did in the beginning of round 1 and 2. So I agree with Flathead Politics. Masvidal did a great job of building interest in the fight. I think when we realistically look at it, we said this in the pre-fight show, right? We know that Masvidal has the hype. We know he has the talent. But did he really beat any of the top big guys coming up to Kamaru? No. But did he beat the guys that needed to count in order to get to the title? Yes. And so it's not that he didn't deserve this title fight and didn't make use of it. It's just that he got here, but he had literally no answer for Kamaru. I'm sorry. Although he welcomed the takedown, he couldn't stop anything else.
But the thing about it is okay. There's a couple of factors. Maybe it's he's coming in on short notice. Maybe that played the issue, right? But we also believe in the fact that he's been training this whole entire time. So I'm not giving him that benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. That was the point you made yesterday. So we can't give him that.
Flat said the groin shot was suspicious. You know what?
It wasn't a groin shot at all, actually. It was actually towards in boxing it would be, but in terms of UFC, it was towards the belly button. And I think that's legal, in my opinion. I think that's legal.
I'm confused on it because I thought it didn't hit straight to the groin, but it did graze it, so I could see how the cup could have hit. But again, that is minuscule to the point of Masvidal accepting the clinch, accepting being in that position, accepting being there. You talked about this being something that he's gonna crotch sniff me, he's gonna be over this and that, but yet you accept that. You put your back against the cage, looking for it, and then also you're smiling, you're laughing, and it tells me you're conscious, you know what's going on all the time. You're aware of what's going on, and you're just accepting it. And this is your big title fight.
I think just a little bit also, I think he had the confidence that, oh, like you can put me against the cage, but you're not gonna do anything. But when he got against the cage, it was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know what's gonna happen. And he couldn't do a lot. And Flathead Politics also brings up the fact that he was able to rest a little bit because he was getting tired from getting grinded on by. Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? You have this guy who's you're allowed to gain about 10% of your body weight, so he's allowed to gain. Kamaru's probably not weighing in at 170 fight day, right? Kamaru's probably coming in around 185 at the most. You're allowed to give like those 15 pounds back. He's a big guy, so realistically, that's what happened. Tyrese, do you see what Flathead Politics is saying?
Flathead. One thing I also see Flat Politics, you guys number call. You know, Flat Politics. I'm going to add you on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put you on. Elijah, keep talking here.
Yes. So realistically, what I knew, but this is something I had in the back of my head yesterday. I was like, how you could train all you want, right? For wrestlers, right? You could train for these guys who are just like so dominant, like Khabib. You can train for the wrestling, but in doing that, you have to make up for the experience that they have. And of course, that's possible with the right game plan. But the other side to that is, in preparing for that, you won't be able. So you will have to at some point accept that your wrestling is not going to be at that same level, if not better. There's some guys who can do it. George St. Pierre is one of the few fighters who are able to take his opponent's strongest suits and use it against him. We've seen him do that. But with a guy like Kamaru, who is wrestling heavy and starting to get a little bit better with his striking, we knew that Jorge Masvidal was just going to be the better striker. But what Kamaru was able to do, especially as a fighter and in working with Trevor Whitman, was he was able to mixing a lot of the wrestling fakes with his striking. I don't know if you can peep that, but he would go high, he would change levels a little bit, and then he would grab a single, push into it, back off a little bit, see if he can get it. So I think Kamaru's game plan was amazing. I think Jorge Masvidal, I don't know if he was prepared or not. I don't know what he was thinking when he was doing this. The only thing I can say is that great performance by Kamaru Usman. And then for Jorge Masvidal, it's not like he got absolutely whooped, but he got dominated. And that does not warrant a rematch, in my opinion. I don't think that warrants a rematch at all.
Hell no.
I think that he still can hang out with the top 5 of the division, but we have to see some changes in terms of the way he fights, because he can't do that against a guy like a guy who has a similar game plan like Kamaru, who can wrestle those 5 rounds and kind of get him in those positions. I think this is a testament to like when he fought Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, when he was moving up in the welterweight division and he first got there, and he was doing great. He's saying how he was gonna knock out Stephen Wonderboy and all this other stuff, and he ended up losing that fight by unanimous decision. Yep. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, Flathead Politics, also check your email. I sent you a link to the chat. He also said, what were each of your picks in the Usman bout?
I think I called Usman by decision.
I called Masvidal all the way. So I'm completely lost.
You called Masvidal by finish.
How?
I want to point that out.
Yeah.
I told you. I said it. I was like, even though Masvidal has the edge on paper, I was like, I just don't see Kamaru losing anytime soon. And it's nothing against the other guys. It's just what Kamaru is able to do to a lot of these fighters in the welterweight division, a lot of people just aren't ready for. And I don't know how you prepare for it. I don't know what you can do to prevent it. But again, he not only has he beaten the top 5 people on his way up to the championship, he's beaten Colby, who arguably is still one of the top 5 fighters, top 3 fighters in my opinion. He's beaten who else? He's been beaten Tyron Woodley for the belt. I mean, and now he's beating Jorge Masvidal. I mean, it's the newer guys that are going to be harder for Kamaru Usman. That I can say. Those newer guys are going to be harder because their style is a little bit more together. But with that being said, I just knew that I just did not see Masvidal being able to get it done, and I was right in this prediction.
I want to say thank you to the people that's watching, and if you're watching, please share, leave a comment, subscribe, let us know what you think of the show. With Masvidal though, like it wasn't like he didn't have great takedown defense. It wasn't like he wasn't trying and when against the clinch. He
I never.
everything that he talked about. He talked about bringing Bo Nickel in. You could see the adjustments he was making and grappling it and trying to defend the takedown, which he did very very well. I think he did the most takedown defense against Kamaru Usman than anybody.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't think anyone else was.
That's credit to him, but he didn't. He just accepted it.
What I will say is, I think he thought either he had the confidence in saying that, oh, like you can take me down, but it's not going to do anything, and then he got there and was like trying to figure it out, and it was like, all right, I can't really do much, so I just have to accept it. Or like you said, he accepted it. I don't think he was just like, all right, just come take me down. Like it's not that plain cut. But I think the confidence of Masvidal is what kind of hurt him in this, because he thought that he had this in every facet of the game, and there's levels to this with Kamaru, right? Kamaru's not a big striker, but Kamaru's got the power. A lot of people don't understand that Kamaru, it's his striking defense. This is what helps him a lot of times in his fights, right? It's not the fact that he's a striker, but it's his striking defense. And when working with a guy like Trevor Whitman and working with a guy like Justin Gaethje, those guys are known, in that fight camp, they're known to be able to finish people, right? I mean, they're known to get into some dog fights, correct? Yep. But the thing about those fights is that what Trevor Whitman does with his fighters, he trains them in defense. He trains them in their defense and taking those hits, because it's a fight. There's no way you're not going to get hit. Some people are lucky enough to not get hit, right? That's rare occasion. Some people can not get hit in a fight, and that's just beautiful, right? But in a fight, you will get hit. And I think that's the game plan changed with Justin Gaethje. You see him now a lot more defensive with his fighting, and that's led him to the interim championship. A guy like Drew Dauber. Drew Dauber was a guy who would get into war, these fights, these very good wars. And Drew Dauber has been, up until today, I think he's been on a 2 or 3 fight win streak. His loss was his one loss or 2 losses. And you see one of them was a submission loss when he was in an actual position to submit the other guy, and the ref just fucked up completely. So that was one loss. And the other loss, I think he lost by the end of decision or submission. I don't know. But bottom line is, I'm not saying Trevor Whitman is really the reason why Kamaru won, but what Kamaru knew was going to happen was that he was just going to have to be able to hang in there with the striking, because there was nothing else that Jorge was going to offer, in my opinion. They were just about as equal.
I'm not taking anything away from Kamaru. Kamaru Usman did the right game plan. It was the most fan-friendly game plan. It was the most entertaining game plan.
I think it's entertaining from a technical standpoint, because if you look at what he did while he was on the fence, head in the chest, right? Traditional old school toe stomping, right? You get a lot of those old school things that he was mixing up. The shoulder strikes, Conor made that obviously a great thing in January, brought that back, highlighted it, mixed in the shoulder strikes. The technique he was using for the wrestling, he brought in a Khabib-like technique. My brother called it mermaid. He's like, oh, look at them doing a mermaid, right? Where you kind of have those legs between your legs. It made sense, right? You can't do anything. Your legs are stuck in one position. And Errol, I give Errol credit. That was pretty good reference. He made it, yeah, right. He's grown, and as an MMA fan. But bottom line is, the technique that Kamaru was able to implement on him was, I mean, again, like you said, you're not taking anything away, but we have to, yes, Masvidal did welcome a lot of things, and he made a lot of mistakes in calculating, but as a champ, it doesn't matter. You capitalize. You capitalize on all the mistakes that your opponent makes, and that's what cements you as the winner, in my opinion. And I think Kamaru did it. Kamaru did it.
He definitely did. Listen, I can't take anything away from Kamaru Usman. He said he was going to do it. He did it. He said he was going to make Jorge Masvidal look like what he was going to look like. I wouldn't call him a journeyman at all, but he definitely he didn't belong to be there at the time, and he did, man. There's nothing you can take away from Kamaru Usman. For me, I'm just more disappointed in Masvidal, because it really seemed like he just let it happen. Yeah, he just took it. He just took it, and there were times where he would defend the takedown. He would get out of position. He would fight the clinch.
But what?
He just what?
Here's the parallel I have with him and Khabib, right? Because he's just so dominant. Now, he's not wrestling oriented, because he'll strike with you. He'll strike if he feels need so, right? Because he can put you out. But the difference is, in this fight, I think what you would probably attest to is that when people face Khabib, they actively will always try to not do the takedown, but Khabib will get it, right? It seemed like Masvidal did what Woodley does. And he's like, oh, I'm on the cage. come get me, like that kind of play style. It's like, ooh, like come get me because like I'll be able to beat whatever you got with all my weapons. But that's just not the case with a guy like Usman. You can't do that.
We talked about this, behind the scenes a little bit. Do you think you see a change in Usman's training camp? Do you think we see Usman stick with Team Elevation?
I don't think. What do you mean? You mean like a change in the way he approached the fight, or the change just like? Do you think he's going to change altogether?
Change altogether.
It's possible. You never know with guys like this. I think this fight. I do think Trevor Whitman as a head coach is a great thing. One. I think Trevor Whitman is a phenomenal coach. What I will say is I don't think a lot of this fight was dependent on Trevor Whitman as so on just like the ability of Kamaru to really implement his will on fighters, right? Because we didn't see any changes to his game plan. So that leads me to believe that Trevor Whitman didn't say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing X, Y, and Z. Trevor Whitman, what he does with his fighters, he says, all right, this is your strong suit. Let's add to that. How do we protect you so that way you can get in the positions that you need? What brings you to that next level without me altering you altogether? And I think that's what makes a head coach great, right? And I'd be interested to see him. I want to see Kamaru in a full training camp. If depending on if he fights Gilbert Durinho or if he fights someone else. If he fights Durinho, then we'll know whether or not him being with Trevor Whitman will be the final move, or like him being with Trevor Whitman really does change or elevate his game. But as of right now, I can't really say he's going to change or not. I can't really say he will because it's a 6-fight note. Like he fought Masvidal on 6-day notice. You know what I mean? Like, and of course he had been training before, but like he hasn't been training in a training camp with Trevor Whitman for Masvidal. He'd been training for a fight camp with Durinho. So they were ready for that fight. But on a 6-day notice, I can't say that total change contributed to Kamaru Usman winning. I think it's a combination for them. So, but I'd be interested in seeing him in elevation again, honestly. That'd be a good camp for him.
We have a special guest on here, a fan of the show, Flathead Politics. I think he's ready to come on. Let me see. Flathead.
Yes, sir.
How you doing,
what's
man?
up?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I don't have the camera. Is that okay?
That's okay.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right. Good to join you guys.
No problem.
Good.
Man.
Glad to hear your voice, man. How are you?
Pretty good. You guys are providing some great commentary, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Let me ask you this. What did you think about the fight?
Usman and Masvidal?
Yep.
I thought Masvidal did a really good job of building that fight.
Agreed.
I think he was severely outclassed.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
I think Masvidal had more than 6 days. I think he's been training the whole time. So I think a lot of stuff would. Sorry?
Since Super Bowl weekend, he's been training.
Well, what's his name? What's the other guy's name? Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Poirier made
Pointed out he's been training. So I think he said a lot of things and did a lot of things to kind of build hype around the fight to get paid. I'm not sure what his pay structure is now. He's getting a higher percentage of the pay-per-views. But a lot of stuff was said and done, in my opinion, just to increase viewership. He did a really good job of doing that. I think I don't think he weighed 192 pounds either.
Really?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
No, I don't. I highly doubt it because he's. No, oh, you mean like coming into the fight?
Yeah, he made a statement that he weighed 192 pounds on Saturday when he found out when the paperwork got finalized.
I could see
the whole
it.
piece of thing and whatnot. I think he did a whole lot of things to kind of build hype around it. So he has kind of a fallback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I don't know if you have IG Flathead Politics, but on IG you saw a lot of that promotion by UFC, right? Like, he is like showing eating pizza, like, oh, let's stop in Italy for pizza or stop in here for pizza. I was like, wow, this is we're just kind of doing what this man wants, which is not bad. Which is not bad. Like, you have a star, right? He did everything to be marketable. UFC is marketing him, but I was just like, wow, stopping in Italy for pizza. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, severely outclassed by Usman. Great job.
Oh,
very impressive.
Agreed. Right? Who did you have going into this?
I had Usman 125%.
Oh gosh, I'm all the way got it wrong.
All the way, absolutely. No doubt. Some guy bet $200,000 on Usman. Did you see that?
Yeah.
No, Masvidal. He bet
Masvidal. I'm sorry.
Masvidal. And
Yep.
if he had won, do you know how much money he would have made? $660,000 off that
Correct.
fight.
Correct.
What? I know he tight.
Yes. He is very upset.
Tight.
Yeah.
I told Tyrese, I don't know if you saw the pre-show, but I told Tyrese, I was like, you're right. Like Masvidal on the hands, he's got it. And when it comes to wrestling, Kamaru's got it. But I was like, I just don't know how Masvidal would truly get it done. And I just don't see Usman losing the belt anytime soon. It's not that he's just eons ahead of the guys in the division, but it's that he's able to impose his will like no other person in that top 5. And that's
Correct.
the issue. Like no one can seem to be able to stop that. And
Correct.
I just, until that happens, I truly don't see Usman losing the belt.
I agree. So who's up next?
I think
Edwards or Burns?
In a perfect world, I'm going off of my friend Tyrese. So I try to be more business than fan orientated, right? I say Usman is not going to get a long time off. I say let's book that Gilbert Burns fight somewhere around September, right? Let's get that going for end of summer, beginning of fall. On that same card, maybe Colby versus Tyron Woodley. And if we can't get that fight booked, let's get Masvidal versus Leon Edwards.
Let's
get that. What?
Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington. I don't think that will ever happen.
Nope.
Who knows? Why not?
Because they've tried so many times, and for some reason, both sides can't come to terms.
That's fair. I mean,
Gotcha.
That's fair. I think it's possible. I think it's possible in this day of age. I think Tyron Woodley is going to want to get a very good win under his belt, especially with the guy who've been talking so much shit. And Colby's going to want to get that back because if he beats Tyron Woodley, even though Tyron Woodley is still top 5 or like on the lower end of 5, beating Woodley definitively gets him back. One more fight and he's in there. Colby's 2 fights away from fighting for the belt again. Tyron is 2 fights minimum.
Right.
If I'm Colby Covington, I'll take that fight now with Tyron Woodley the way he is. I think Tyron Woodley is perfect. It's a perfect time to capitalize. I just don't think Colby Covington will come to the table and do it. Now, I heard Ariel Helwani say that they are working on that for August, but again, we've heard that time and time again where they say Colby Covington and Tyron Woodley, those names attached, and it's never come together for some reason. So I'll wait to see.
True. I agree with that. I do agree with that. That fight has a really hard time coming together, which is the issue.
For Kamaru Usman, though, I see Gilbert Burns. I think that's the fight to make. I think that style matchup of Gilbert Burns being able to have the speed advantage. I would think. Also, he's good off his back. He has great jiu-jitsu as well, so he'll present different problems for Kamaru Usman as well there. And that's the right fight to make. I think he was supposed to get the fight anyway, and COVID-19 took away from. I think that's the fight to make.
I wonder in what capacity he'll be okay though in terms of recovery after having COVID. Because remember, with COVID, a lot of people get affected by it differently. Some people can get over it and no issues. A lot of people do tend to have a lot of kidney issues after. They do have respiratory issues. So I'm wondering what will be the state. I wish nothing but the best for Durinho. I wish him a speedy recovery, but I wonder what the state of his training and everything will be after COVID recovery.
I agree, man.
What about you?
Yes, sir.
Right.
You're spot on. I agree as well.
Yeah. Okay. This man knows his MMA.
He does.
You know what? I'm a casual. I watch you guys a lot. I think I learn a lot from watching you guys.
Nah, man.
A lot more so than I know, man.
We're just 2 dudes who don't shut the fuck up.
One of the things that kind of aggravated me about Jorge is that he was behaving in a very selfish manner about getting paid more. I would have respected him if he would have been fighting for all the fighters, but it was all about him the whole time. And really, really super selfish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
And then he folded when they offered him the money he wanted.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good point actually that he makes, Tyrese. I think he's not wrong in saying that, but like, there's no fighters union. There's no fighters union. Right. So realistically, like you could fight for other fighters, but like realistically, at the end of the day, the contract is between you and the UFC, and it's
absolutely.
It's not. I get what you're saying, which is like he should, if he's fighting for fighter pay, like talk about all fighters, right? Let's include everybody. Let's get it going. Maybe
absolutely.
not fight for union, but just kind of advocate more. But on the other hand, realistically, his pay doesn't, the UFC pays him. They don't pay the fighters altogether.
Right.
Him
He's a
and the
1099
so-
employee, right? Absolutely. 1099
Yeah.
contractor.
So-
I understand that.
So
My thing with that, with his whole, fighters pay thing is it brought light to the UFC in this whole pandemic and how, the practices may not be the best. They've done far more than other places like, if you watch wrestling, WWE or AEW or whatever. But, the fighters should be getting a lot more than what they are. You can't tell me where you're getting a 780 or how much it is from a TV deal, and the fighters get not even a percent of that. They get no choices on the endorsement deal they got with Venom we talked about yesterday. So I think him talking about him having the problem, and John Jones having the problem, and who else was it? Henry Cejudo retiring because of it. I think that sheds light to what's going on to other fighters. Now it's up to the other fighters to stand up and say, "Hey, I believe in this too," because other fighters are going to say, "You know what? I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to fight anyway."
Yeah.
That's a good divide.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right. It's interesting because it's really, if we look at who's really being who's really advocating for more pay, is the top fighters of their division, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword, right? Because of course, as the top fighter, you want to make more money. You believe you're worth it, which is fair. We can't say that you're not because you're obviously going to be a draw in some capacity to UFC. But then also as a top fighter, are you asking for more money just because you're a top fighter, or you ask for money because generally fighters aren't getting paid enough? That's always one of the things I think about as well when it comes to fighter pay.
That was that exact opposite approach I think Jorge was taking. What you just said makes sense. If me, you, and Tyrese were all fighters, the first thing I would try to do, we don't have a union, obviously. So the first thing I try to do, I call you guys up and say, look, let's have a meeting. Offline, let's talk. Let's see if we can get something worked out. So we'll talk first, and let's try and meet with the UFC behind the scenes and see if we can get something worked out. If you get the top guys on board, you know what I mean, behind you and get them all together and whatnot, maybe sit out. You know what? Guys can't meet our demands. We're going to sit out. We're not going to fight. But like you said, some of the younger guys that are just coming in that are hungry, you have families to feed and whatnot, you're hurting them.
You gotta fight.
You never hurt yourself. Right, absolutely. John Jones is not hurting financially. Jorge is not hurting financially. But I still think he was being selfish in his approach to the whole situation. And not selfless. Selfish and not selfless.
That's fair.
I could see it. I could see it.
My thing with fighters coming together and everything now, like I think before, like there's so much issues with that because when the UFC was trying to find a TV deal, that was the perfect time for that to happen. When the UFC was trying to get things done and like when back in the pay-per-view days where pay-per-views matter, that was the time when you could unite. The UFC has literally taken all the power away because now if we do a pay-per-view, as long as we meet our quota on the number of pay-per-views for a year, then we don't have to care who comes in. We don't have to. That's why Dana White has a position now with Conor McGregor. It's like, okay, if Conor McGregor don't fight, cool. We still sell pay-per-views there. And
that narrative,
money.
That's actually true. That narrative shifts from 2016 to now, or 2015, right? That's when Conor was on the rise. You're right. That narrative did switch to like we got to get Conor. Now it's if Conor doesn't want to fight, we're cool.
Yeah, as long as you make that quota, they're fine. So as long as they have made a certain amount of events of each year, the ESPN deal is still great. So the fighters don't have as much say as they did before. So now, if you're Jorge Masvidal, if you're John Jones, if you're an AD, like you're looking at this as like, whoa, I'm doing this, and this. I'm supposed to be the best fighter in the world. I'm looking at these other fighters and other organizations like boxing, and I'm looking at how much they're getting, and we're supposed to be the best in the world. And we're getting all the media attention, we're trending, we're doing better pay-per-view and stuff like that, but yet we're not getting a part of that revenue. That's where the disconnect is at. And the reason why you won't get other fighters to join aboard that because they're not on that level yet. You're only gonna get that from the top tier fighters because they're the ones that's bringing in the money.
Which is again goes to the argument are you actually advocating for more money because you feel that you're worth it, or you're advocating more money because you feel that fighters are underpaid?
Yeah.
And you could feel that you're underpaid, but as a top guy, are you feeling you're underpaid because you're not making as much money compared to a different sport? But you have to also look at the guidelines behind different sports, and the regulation in different sports a lot different than MMA. So very, very different in terms of boxing, because in boxing you can have your own corporation, as obviously seen in Mayweather, Mayweather Productions. Mayweather has the money team. The money team is owned by Floyd Mayweather. So whatever revenue they get from hyping a fight, whatever, goes predominantly to him, and then from him to his team. So like you don't have that. I get what you're saying. You don't have that kind of say and how you get the money, or say how you where you can choose to kind of split your streaming. But that we also talked about adding, allowing fighters to have their own sponsors.
Yeah.
I think they should bring that back. Honestly, it helps everybody. But we're getting off track. Let's bring it back to UFC 251. The next fight we have is Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. I think that Max was robbed, but I'm always going to say that. So go ahead. If anyone wants to speak on that one.
Flat politics. You go. Do you think Max was robbed?
Yes.
Okay, so we're all in agreement. Max was robbed.
Yeah. You think he was or wasn't?
Cool. Oh, he was. He definitely was. Definitely was.
Both of you guys agree?
Definitely was.
Yes.
Yeah. Round 1
definitely
through 3.
Well, you got to beat the champ, though. That's the way I see it. I guess that's the way the judges saw it. You got to beat the champ.
Tyrese,
you got to definitively whoop his ass.
But I will say this: the issue with round 3, right? Because with round 3, he definitively was able to lead the round. So it was 10-9 until the last minute and 30 seconds, and that's when you saw the shift in momentum. And I always attribute that to the UFC bar in the game, right? Like the momentum's going one way, then after you land a certain amount of hits, it goes the other. And if you look at the striking and things like that, Holloway outlanded him in that round. It was close, but he still outlanded him. And in my opinion, just because I think how you end a round is very, very important. But if you're beating someone for more than 3 minutes and a round, in my opinion, you may have run that round.
So
good assessment.
Or
Tyrese?
Here's the thing, right? So looking at the stats, right? And I thought Max Holloway won round 1, 2, and 3. But in my mind, just looking at round 3 and how it ended, I could see how they would have given it to Alex Volkanovski. Alex Volkanovski finished that last round, that third round strong. The stats show, Max Holloway was outlanding Volkanovski round 1 and 2. He was, outlanding him there. He was doing well. Round 3, we got close. Round 3, total strikes for Volkanovski was 27-54. Total strikes for Max Holloway was 18-50. And that's where the slide. He also attempted takedowns too, and he also was able to, finish the 4th and 5th round strong too. So I could see from looking at the end of the 3rd round to seeing the 4th and 5th that Max Holloway lost that fight. But I thought Max Holloway did enough in the 3rd round early on, and I thought the 2nd round and 1st round was all Max Holloway.
In my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, Fallhead Politics. Did you see the John Jones versus Gustafsson first fight?
I saw it a while ago, yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
This is reminiscent of that, right? Like if you don't beat the champ, if you don't finish the champ, it's kind of hard to beat the champ. Where Gustafsson won 3 rounds, in my opinion, but Jones' spectacular performance in rounds 4 and 5, and then the sway of momentum in round 3 is what kind of got him to retain the belt, and split decision. So it's like, you're right when you say if you don't finish the champ, it's hard to beat the champ.
Yeah.
Yep. I think you got to definitively beat the champ. You got to leave it. You can't leave it in the judge's hands. That was too close. If it's close, they're gonna give it to the champ. And
usually
that was his fault. Yeah. You just got to go in there and it was kind of close, but just if you turn the volume down and watch it, you would say Holloway won that fight.
Agreed.
He dominated it. He was in command of the whole fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And without knowing the numbers, it was pretty evident to me just looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And also the tweets they showed on the screen kind of reflect on what we're saying right now.
Most people said Holloway.
The people that were watching.
I would say 80%. Yep.
And there's always a disconnect in what the people calling the fight and the other MMA athletes see versus what the judges wind up showing as far as the scorecards.
Yeah. There usually is a disconnect. You're right. But then if fans and fighters saying Holloway won, I don't know.
Yeah, so it was pretty close, but yeah, I understand that. You gotta go in there and whoop his behind.
Yeah.
To be fair, some people did have Al Volkanovski win, and Al Volkanovski, in my opinion, to come back from round 1 and 2 from getting dropped, to then coming strong in the third, fourth, and fifth round. Where in the last fight, remember, Volkanovski was winning the first 2 rounds, and then Max Holloway came strong. And we've seen that changed dynamic in this fight. I thought it was
He dug deep.
yeah, and it was incredible to see him dig deep and really take those rounds because he took it from Max Holloway. Max Holloway I thought he was in cruise control. I thought he won round 1. I thought he won round 2, and then Volkanovski just picked it up, and it just seemed like Max Holloway was still trying to find. Was I don't know if he was cruising a little bit, but he definitely was just giving it to Volkanovski. Volkanovski was really going for it. Like he wanted to finish Max Holloway.
Volkanovski switched from playing the outside with the leg kicks to try. He tried. I think the game plan was to batter the legs until later rounds and then beat him. But when he realized Holloway was using that to his advantage, he was like, "Wait a minute!" So he made a shift and like start the jab, start the body, start working it. And he did. He was able to get in on the inside a lot more in terms of round 3 through 5. But again, it is what it is. Holloway will be back stronger. Flathead Politics. Who for Volkanovski next?
I'm sorry.
Who do you have for Volkanovski to face next?
I have no idea.
Okay,
so
Korean Zombie is going to fight Brian Ortega, and so that's really the next, in my opinion, the next contender, the next 2 contenders. Winner of that should really face Volkanovski. Good, sorry, said.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I know Zombie and I know Ortega. I heard the announcers actually mention that.
I'm gonna go a different direction.
So I wouldn't know who. I'm sorry.
I said I'm gonna go a different direction. What do you think though?
Good.
I think Zabit versus Yair Rodriguez may determine it. I think you may get that fight sooner than you get the Brian Ortega versus Chan Sung Jung because I don't know what Chan Sung Jung's travel is right now.
I know they've been issues with signing the contract and getting him over here, and I think he said in a tweet like, "Oh, I'm not." Brian Ortega was like, "Sign the contract." He's like, "I'm not running for you." He's like, "The situation over here. Stop playing." Yeah. He said, "If UFC has a fight night over here, I'll gladly fight you."
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge. That may be a big issue. And we'll see if it'll get fixed. But Yair Rodriguez, that makes sense. Zabit, that makes sense. Those 2 fights represent some interesting matchups for Volkanovski.
Question: Is that fight? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Flathead Politics.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No. I just didn't know if that fight.
No, I was about to say I didn't realize Zabit was in that same weight class.
Yeah, 145.
Oh man, that is a bad dude there, man. That Brian Ortega as well. Yeah, I wouldn't know who to pick for him next. Yeah, I mean, I would have to sit down and look at the rankings. I don't have anything pulled up in front of me, so.
Agreed.
I know they're getting closer to Zabit versus. Matter of fact, I think they may have. I don't know if I'm spoiling.
I'll double check.
I think they're close to announcing that one. Zabit versus Yair Rodriguez.
I'll look it up.
I think that's a fight coming down really soon. I think maybe August.
They said August. Possible.
Yeah, see, so that fight could pretty much determine the number 1 contender because I don't see Chan Sung Jung coming over anytime soon.
Yeah.
And those are two young stars that are coming up on the rise in the featherweight division. Brian Ortega already had his chance. He pretty much has to fight, maybe 1 or 2 more fights. Chan Sung Jung, we don't know his condition right now. I think that fight between Yair Rodriguez versus Zabit would make the most sense and determine who fights Alex Volkanovski next.
Agree. Okay. And if you could want to weigh in on this, what happens for Holloway next?
With Holloway, he has to move to lightweight, right? He has to.
I don't think so. I think he can. I mean, he lost twice. It sucks. It's unfortunate, but
that's a tough one to come back from.
Yeah, but arguably a lot of people said he won. So I mean, it's not like he's. I think he take the time off. Let's really assess and see what the featherweight division is going to do in general, right? And then we'll make our move and see what goes on next. In my opinion,
I don't know if Max Holloway wants to wait. To me, it feels like Max Holloway. In my opinion, I think Max Holloway feels like he won this fight. I think a lot of people feel like he won this fight. I don't think you can rebook Max Holloway versus Volkanovski right now because of the fact that he's lost twice back to back. Those fights too. And lightweight, maybe you do a fight with a big star in lightweight. Maybe he gets um Dustin Poirier again. Maybe you run that back. Maybe you run a Nate Diaz. Maybe you run.
I,
You
it
know,
would be interesting.
right?
Charles Oliveira. A
I don't
good,
see
it'd
that
be
fight
a
happen.
good.
I don't see
I
that
would
fight.
love to see that fight happen as a good way to get into the title rankings. I
I
would like
think
to see that.
I think he fights. I think he fights a big name. Maybe you do Max Holloway versus um, Conor McGregor. Maybe you do something like that. Like for me, Max Holloway is on that different tier of a star power right now, where he could fight somebody that's a main eventer. He could fight a Dustin Poirier, a Conor McGregor, a
He's not
Nate
gonna
Diaz.
fight. He's not gonna fight Poirier because Poirier is too far up the lightweight rankings. I just don't see that fight happening again, especially the way it ended the first time. And to be honest with you, to get as that your first fight back in, because if he beats Dustin, he's automatically fight for the belt. And I just don't think he'd be well adjusted to that lightweight weight just yet. So I think that Charles Oliveira would be a great fight for him because he beat him before. Remember, he had TKO injury. Charles Oliveira he tapped because he had a neck injury. And this would be a great way with Oliveira on the rise in lightweight. And if Max really wanted to see if he was at that weight class, this would be one of the ways to cement that with Charles Oliveira on his way up in that weight class. In my opinion.
So let me change that. Okay, so let's not say Dustin Poirier, even though I think they could also run that rematch back. What if you do Max Holloway versus Cowboy Cerrone?
Nah, I wouldn't.
That fight makes sense to me. Why doesn't that make sense?
I don't think it. I'm just not excited for that. I don't know. It makes sense. I'm just not excited. But I'm entitled to feel the way I feel about it. I'm just not excited.
I agree. But my thing with that is you want Max Holloway to have a fight in lightweight where he could possibly get a win.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys have not looked the best lately. I'm not calling Cowboy a gatekeeper, but I mean that's if you're trying to get Max Holloway to come into lightweight, that may be the way to do it. And Cowboy's also a big name, so you could also make that a main event.
Agreed, but I think with a fight like Charles Oliveira, rebranding it as the rematch with, of course, Charles Oliveira's resurgence at lightweight and Max's first fight at lightweight, it gives a rebirth for both of these gentlemen. For one, to reclaim the loss that he had because of a neck injury, and two, the other guy to break into a new division and jump into that, I believe, that number 7 or 8 spot automatically. And then from there, it's 2 fights away. If you fight a guy like Cowboy, that's good, but it's not going to get him directly in the belt because Cowboy's coming off of he's my boy, but he's coming off about maybe like 3 or 4 fight loss streak.
Right, but we both know that doesn't matter. Wins or losses at a certain point in your career does not matter. So just like we talk about with Nate Diaz can come in and slide in and be a contender, all we know.
Yeah.
Like Cowboy has that status. And if Max Holloway can fight Cowboy, which is a big name, that can get you into fighting another big fight in the lightweight division. And I think and for the UFC, I would think that is something they can look at, especially with the name value of Cowboy, especially the name value of Max Holloway, especially when you look at where Cowboy is in his career. That may be a fight where, okay, we're going to try you out at lightweight against somebody that is maybe on the downside of his career, and maybe we get you a win and we can get you ushered into the lightweight division. That's my thinking. I think Charles Oliveira right now, that wouldn't make sense because Charles Oliveira is not a big enough name yet. He's still trying to gain that. And also,
if I think it works. Sorry, not to cut you off, but it works better if I get what you're saying. It works better if Cowboy beats Holloway, right? But Cowboy's at the end of his career, and if you're pushing new stars like Charles Oliveira, which they're trying to do because he just came off of a stoppage victory over Kevin Lee, that would add to his stock to get him to that position. But then again, thinking about it now, what's the likelihood of him fighting? Because I don't know if he fights out of here or if he's back in Brazil.
I believe he fights out of here. I believe Charles Oliveira fights out of here. But with Charles Oliveira, nobody really watched that fight. No one. When you look at the numbers of the Charles Oliveira versus Kevin Lee thing, nobody watched it. Nobody was looking at that fight.
Yeah.
So it's not like Charles Oliveira got a big rub off of that. So Charles Oliveira is not a big enough name to then down Cowboy Cerrone and to make even
he's not.
And he's not. But I'm saying Holloway could fight a Cowboy that lightweight win potentially, because Cowboy is not the same Cowboy he used to be, and then you can work your way towards Charles Oliveira. But to give Holloway a somewhat competitive win that he could actually get, that's what Moland's talking about. And then you could do Charles Oliveira, and then you could get Dustin Poirier, then you could, but you need to get Max Holloway. I don't know the right word for it, but he needs to be in the lightweight division to get a win, and then you can grow that. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I think the UFC may do.
I don't know if it'll be Cowboy, but I definitely don't see him. I can see what you're saying. I can see him fighting someone before he gets. I don't think he's going to fight McGregor. McGregor's not going to.
No. I'm saying they did it with McGregor. When they did it with McGregor, when they used Cowboy to get the win, so that okay, now McGregor's back. Same thing. Same thing with Holloway.
Well, we'll see if Cowboy even drops back down to lightweight. We'll see if that even happens.
I can see it.
But going back to UFC 251. Sorry, Flathead. This is the tangents we go on. Obviously.
No, you guys are good. I'm just sitting back and listening to you. You guys do an excellent job.
Thank you. Our next fight we're going to talk about is Petr Yan versus Jose Aldo. Tyrese called me a couple times during this fight. Just go ahead, give your options before.
Wow.
You know what? Flathead Politics, you're the guest. You start us off.
All I gotta say is, wow, man, I'm a big fan of Petr Yan. How do you pronounce his name? Petr Yan? Yes. Tyrese, no?
You know what? I'm gonna let you go. Flathead Politics. I'm gonna let you say your piece. Also, for the viewers watching, let us know what you think of UFC 251.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking to the viewers that's watching.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Big fan of his. He really dissected Aldo. I think the ref should have stopped it a lot sooner than what he did.
Yep.
He took a beating.
Oh yeah.
That dude is a freaking assassin, man. He's like that one girl. What's her name? That has Valentina. I forgot her name. Valentina Shevchenko.
You know,
he's a freaking assassin, man.
I think they train. They don't train at the same camp, but they've trained before in the same camp in Thailand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their style is very, very similar. I think they trained in Thailand. Tiger Muay Thai, I think it's.
That dude's gonna be tough, man. He's gonna have that belt for a while. He's a sharpshooter. He's a freaking assassin. I didn't think Aldo had a chance. I think Tyrese is gonna disagree with me, but that was my feeling on it. From watching Ron fight in the past, that dude is a freaking savage sharpshooter, man. He actually started a lot slower. I'm like, what is he doing here? Did I kind of expect him to start? But he picked it up towards the end, yeah. And like I said, the ref just allowed that guy to take a beating. Did you see the blood on the mat underneath his head there?
Yeah, that was bad.
I'm like, what is he doing?
Yeah, I thought, but it wasn't her. Who was the ref? Was that Goddard?
No, it was some guy I didn't recognize.
It was
a newer guy.
Leon something.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
the guy you don't see that often.
Yeah,
but I know I saw somebody tweeted that Aldo was kicking again, and he started kicking. I don't know why he stopped, but I think that was pretty effective.
Okay.
But he kind of pulled back on that. No?
Flathead, you're hitting all the nails on the button today. Truth be told,
Tyrese is about to block me, I think.
No,
Tyrese's hitting the button, man. Let's get him out of here, dude.
Okay. No, Flathead Politics. I'm glad you brought up the leg kicks because you opened Pandora's box. This is exactly what me and Elijah was complaining about with each other. Was the fact that, number one, I picked Aldo. So let me just start there. That's my personal bias there. I picked Aldo to win the fight, and I did. So I'm 0 for 5 in this whole entire card. But the thing about this Aldo fight, right, was Aldo was doing everything right. I called Elijah during the fight. I was like, this is the Aldo of old. Like this is WEC Aldo. This is the Aldo that was running shit for a long time.
Yeah.
He's hurting Yan with these powerful leg kicks that are dropping Yan. Like he dropped Yan with the leg kick.
I think the second or third leg kick he threw in the whole entire fight dropped him. Exactly. And I was like,
it's like, oh
I was like, shit.
Aldo looks like he's in the best shape of his life. He looks absolutely jacked. He looks
big too. He still look big.
He's throwing leg kicks. He's hurting Petr Yan. That leg is red. Yan had to switch his stance. And then we literally see a transformation from the Aldo that was running shit in WEC and was the king of the featherweight division. And then we see him just morph into the Aldo we see recently, who just loves to box. And he like what was getting him to the dance, what was getting him success, he just let it all go. And he just wanted to box. And he wanted to strike with Peter Yan.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, bro.
Yeah, my apology. Yep, that's a big no-no.
That was a big no-no, man.
It's a big no-no. Not with a guy like that. That dude lives. He eats, sleeps, and breathes striking. I don't know.
I don't know, man. He just, I don't know. He kind of sits back, man. And he picks up the pace. You'll see him pick up the pace when he needs to pick up the pace, and just destroyed him, man. He got him. I think that was all strategy.
Oh, I think and that's the thing, right? In a show, when we talk about this off camera, we were like, "What? This is the biggest time, right?" Because we didn't know who was going to win this, and the reason why is because we didn't know what Aldo was going to show up, right? Do we get the old Aldo that was chop your legs down, leave a big old bruise, or do we get the Aldo who in the second Max Holloway fight, who shows up as a contender challenger, throws the leg kicks for all about 1 round, and then goes back to doing this boxing thing where, he's trying to land these body blows and jabs. And it's like, he's got the head movement, but you can't keep the head movement up for 5 rounds. And then the question is with Petr Yan, can Petr Yan stand? Because Petr Yan, you're right. Like he likes to stand in front of you and just walk you down. Picks very meticulous, picks the shots. But what Aldo's had success with in his entire career is people who stand in front of him. Chad Mendes twice was able to beat him. Uriah Faber beat him twice. Who else did he beat? Mark Hominick. He got later in the rounds. He got hurt. He started getting tired, so he was losing that fight. But who else did he? Ricardo Lamas. Like these are guys who stood in front of him and just got beat.
Sorry to cut you off here, but like just you saying that, right? You didn't have to worry about Yan doing takedowns. Like that was not a concern. Yan was not going to do takedowns.
At all.
He was right in front of you. That leg was there. He switched.
He kicked him so bad he switched to southpaw and was actually missing a lot more often.
Exactly.
And Aldo actually that whole second round didn't have to do a lot of head movement, which I was like, wow, that's great. And then Petr Yan came out strong in the 3rd round. But I think he did, right? And then the issue with Aldo is he was just very hesitant to throw anything. Like, it was like, oh, I can eat it. Oh, I can't eat it. Oh, I'm down. And I was like, well, this is not going to end well.
And it was also to a point where with Aldo is he, like I said, he falls in love with the boxing, and he kept going to the body, and it's like Petr Yan is telegraphing him because he knows what you're gonna do. And like every time Aldo would try to go to the body, Petr Yan would just go to the head, go with a right hook, go with an overhand. Like he kept catching Aldo over and over again to where it took its toll on him, and he just seen Aldo just regress more and more in the fight to where Aldo gets finished, and it's like it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me because it's like Aldo was so close to being a two division champ. Something that he's already a Hall of Famer to me, and this could have put him on another level.
Ticket is punched.
And this fight was his for the taking, and he just gave it all to Yan. He gave it to Yan. Like Yan in the second round, I called you. It's like Yan looks he's gonna be in trouble. If Aldo keeps up with his leg kicks, I don't know if Yan could take this because he switched the stance. He's not able to at all with Aldo. Aldo's out of the way. I don't even have to use head move. He's just moving and sliding. He's able to catch Yan.
He's cutting angles. I was like, wow, he's just cutting angles in general. It's not even head movement, just cutting angles. I was like, wow.
And you don't have to worry about the takedown for the first time, maybe in a long time, where you don't have to worry about somebody taking you down who's going to stand right in front of you and give you that leg. That leg is all yours. You can just take that leg if you want it. And he just said, you know what? I had enough. I'm going to go boxing. And he just reverted to the Aldo that lost to Max Holloway, that lost to Volkanovski. And it's irritating because how does his corner not say leg kicks? Like the leg kicks is working. The leg kicks dropped him in the first round.
I got to go back and watch the fight again, but I thought Peter checked the kick, and then the kicks kind of slowed down a little bit. I don't know. I might be wrong on that.
I might have missed that
or something like that. But I saw him check
Volkanovski,
one,
yeah.
and it seems like it slowed down. This guy's
That-
professional. He's been doing it for a long time. If you're doing something that works, why would you stop doing that? Because he was killing him when he kicked him and he spun around on the ground there.
Yeah.
I got a little bit nervous. But once again, I knew Peter would get him. I knew he would walk him down like he did. He
I
stalked
called
him the
Peter.
whole fight. He stalked him.
I was 1 round short, Flathead. I was one round short from being there. If I had called that round, because I was like, Peter, I think I said Peter on by 4th or 3rd. They stopped him in the 5th. I was like, shit. I was
Yes,
like, had I just called that 1 round, I could have really threw this in Tyrese face, you know. But
Yeah.
it is what it is at this point. I
He
think
was on
Peter
like a cheap suit, man, the whole fight. Like a cheap polyester suit, the whole side, Tyrese.
tight on that.
Tight polyester suit on him. No room to breathe.
No room to breathe. Oh,
That's some psychological pressure. But yeah, I thought I saw where he checked the kick and the kick's kind of slowed down. Once again, why would you stop doing that if you're doing something that's working so well? His leg was so red. You know what I mean?
Aldo didn't go to southpaw, which he could do. Aldo can go to southpaw. Aldo can fight southpaw, which is interesting. He didn't stand switch. So I don't know. With that being said, Aldo did lose by TKO to Peter Yan. And Petr Yan is now our bantamweight champion in UFC. I think, in my opinion, the only fight next is Aljamain Sterling. I think Aljamain Sterling he's the number one. In my opinion, he's the guy to get Petr Yan out of there. In my opinion, but we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. What do we know?
I will say this also. Friend of the show, Keith Lee, Bellator bantamweight. Friend of the show, Lou Down on the way, which is great. He said, I asked him what's his thoughts on Yan. He said he'll get smoked by Sterling, but he looked good tonight. So, last episode.
I think Aljo can mix it up as a wrestler, and his striking getting better. I think it's possible. To be honest with you, I don't. I mean this in the most non-disrespectful way. I don't think Aldo needs to fight again.
Oh, you think he needs to go away?
I don't think he needs to go away. I think let me rephrase this. I don't think he needs to fight for a while.
Right.
Take some time off. Let's just reassess. What do we need to prove in terms of fighting? Maybe get you a win or ride off in the sunset.
Is he 33? 30? How old is he now?
33. Still young.
Yeah, he's getting up there. A lot of headshots, right?
Not really. You know, I want to say for 10 years. For 10 years, he was pretty much undefeated. You know, Aldo's been undefeated since, I want to say, he's probably got to UFC around like 2010 or whatever. He didn't get defeated till like 2017, 2018 when he first fought Holloway and then refought him again. So realistically,
but the wear and tear and the years of training and that also plays a role into it too.
Agreed.
With Aldo though, I agree. It's getting to a point where what else can Aldo do? But there are also still some fun fights Aldo can partake in. Somebody I don't know who it was, but somebody brought up the idea of why haven't we seen an Aldo versus Dominic Cruz? Just do that fight. I think that would be a great fight. Jose Aldo versus Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
That'd be a great fight.
I'm cool with it.
Aldo versus Dillashaw.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Did someone say TJ?
Jose Aldo versus TJ Dillashaw.
Sorry, I was falling asleep, but then I came back. The greatest bantamweight fighter of all time. Who?
EPO himself, man. Yeah, I could see you. Are you denying that it's EPO?
No comment.
That Cody Garbrandt was telling us this whole entire time. We just laughed it off.
No comment. Moving forward. TJ Dillashaw is without a doubt one of the greatest. TJ, if you hear this, I just want to let you know I'm one of your biggest fans. I think TJ.
I like TJ Dillashaw too.
No. You're not a fan. You're not a fan like me. Don't play. TJ Dillashaw, I just want to say you're striking us. Dwayne Bang Ludwig. You guys are just great. Just come back and just start show these motherfuckers why you was the king. Why you was the king of the 135. Thank you. Moving on.
There are good fights for Aldo to take, like TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz. Like there are some fun fights you can do. Cody Garbrandt. Like there's some things that Jose Aldo can still do that he doesn't necessarily have to chase the title anymore. He could still be that guy that can face big names.
Agree.
Jose, hey, real quick before you move on there.
Yep.
That rib shot that Aldo took where he grimaced.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the first one.
Had on the ground. Did he stop kicking after that? Was it? Did he get a man knocked out? Or was it a injury?
I think it landed on the. Did it land on the left side, Tyrese? I'm pretty sure it landed
Left
on the
side
left
ribs.
side because
Yes. Kidney
Piotr,
rib area.
yeah, he stayed orthodox, so his back leg is the power
Right.
leg.
Oh, right side, right side.
I
Was it
think
right
it
side?
landed. I think it landed on his left side because he went down. He went down. I think he went like down like that. I don't think he went down like this. I don't know. Bottom line is, I think it was a rib hit. It was a big rib hit. I think
Yeah.
that shit hurt. I think
Yeah.
that shit hurt him bad. Not going front.
The
Cracked maybe.
commentator- Yeah, it mentioned maybe a possible broken rib or something. But yeah, like I said, that might be why he kind of just went from being aggressive to getting on.
True.
Yeah.
With the injury like that, for the first couple minutes, you can probably have that adrenaline running, and then after that, you'll probably start the breathing will start to hurt, and it'll hurt when you breathe because your chest is trying to expand, but then your ribs are sharp, like where it's broken. So it's hard. It's hard when you have broken ribs. We'll see. With the suspensions after, we'll see if he actually did get his rib broken. I'd be interested to know that.
Check.
Yeah, but Aldo's loss was solely on him. Just again, we said what Aldo was going to get. We got both Aldos. We got the Aldo of old. We got the new Aldo. All one fight.
Hey man, some only get one. We should count ourselves lucky.
Oh my god.
I knew which Peter Yan we were getting. I'll say that. The assassin.
I like this guy. I like this guy. You know what?
Assassinator.
I like that. That was funny. That was
The
good.
assassinator, bro. Yeah.
You got to get him on here to piss you off more, Tyrese. He said, "Yeah, I know it's Peter Yan showed up."
That ain't fucking me. I'm 0 for 5.
Yeah,
I do not want to see Yan fight Aljamain Sterling, man. I like Aljamain. I don't want to see that fight. I don't want to see that fight, man.
I think
I like that brother, man. What's that?
I think Sterling does better than you think.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I'm not saying he won't do well. It's just certain people I don't want to see fight.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
I think Sterling does really good in that fight, though. I like his odds in that fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next fight would be the last two fights on the card would be Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade, which I saw this the way it did. I will say in the later rounds with Jessica Andrade, her power was still there, so that's something to look out for her in the future fights. Rose had a phenomenal game plan, stick the jab, and land the shots. One of the more interesting commentary in the middle, because you're showing you what's going on between the fights in each corner. You had her husband Pat Barry and her head coach. We just said his name. I'm bugging. Why am I forgetting this now? Trevor Whitman. They both said stand your ground when it came to fighting her. So when it was in the pocket, she did lean out, take the head off the center line, slip. It was able to land a lot of shots, but when it came down to it, Jessica was able to time those shots and land her own shots, and that's what really gave her the third round, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought Rose Namajunas did a great job. Like just the ability to adapt from last fight to this fight, where every time where they would get close enough, she would just take a step back and say, "No, I'm going back to the center of the octagon. You're gonna follow me here." I thought that was brilliant on Rose Namajunas' part. She was a sniper. She was able to pop the jab, 1-2s. Every time Jessica Andrade try to come in close, she would try to throw the knees, throw elbows in the clinch, throw the forearm even to stop her from coming forward. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So I thought Rose Namajunas was as sharp as ever in this fight.
Agreed.
Jessica Andrade, to me though, I had Jessica Andrade win by decision, and I thought the game plan she did in the third round should have been the game plan going into the whole entire fight, because I thought the head movement, which was something that it was a problem in the last fight where she just kept getting hit. Like the head movement was great. Only problem is you're doing it from the outside. So you're doing it from the outside and you're not trying to come in.
Yeah, I think she was hesitant because she knew that not only is Rose bigger than her, realistically, Rose can, and the in and out, and Rose is faster than her. That's something she actually said on the vignette before they fought. She's like, I know she's faster than me, but, when I hit people, I hit people. It was like, well, you can hit people all you want. Sorry, you can have all the power you want, but if you don't land, it's like not going to work. I always think about that. Flathead Policy, I don't know if you watch anime. I'm sure you've watched Dragon Ball Z before, right?
Yeah.
Remember when Trunks got super big and fought Cell, and Cell was like, "Oh, that muscle is not going to work if you can't hit me." It's like That's what I think when I see fights like this. It's like you can have all this power. You can have all this power, but like if you can't hit nobody, it's like what happens then?
Yep.
God damn.
So I don't know. Hey man, I'm here. I'm just here to provide quality.
So, all I gotta say is Rose and Wei Lee.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The
Without
next
a doubt.
fight.
Yeah.
I wonder how they get it done with this whole the whole COVID situation, how that fight gets done. But
She's in
yeah,
the U.S. now, isn't she? Whaley?
no, she went back.
Oh, I
I
thought she's
think
still here training.
she
No,
went back, but she might go to another country to train. I think that was. I think they had talked about that too. I know she was in the U.S. for a little bit, but I don't. I think she overall went back to
yeah,
China.
she went back.
Okay,
She went back.
gotcha.
So it's interesting to see what happened with that. With Rose, I thought she looked sharp tonight. I thought she got hurt. Jessica Andrade hurt her with a great uppercut that I thought was beautifully done, and she withstood a lot of punishment and was able to still strike back with Jessica Andrade, which was great, which shows that fire that me and you was like, if is she all in? Is she just coming back because she wants to be a champion again, or she just wants to come back to avenge the loss? And we seen just Rose Namajunas that looks fired up, that looks ready to go, that looks sharp as ever. And honestly, that Weili Zhang fight, I'm ready to see it.
Agreed. If I had politics, you sound like you're interested in that fight too. I know you've seen
Yeah.
what Weili Zhang is possible. You know what she can do. She's a killer. You want to talk about killers? That's a killer. I
Yep.
mean, that girl.
Turyan.
They just. I don't get it. I don't get it. How could you be so violent? How
For,
could you be so violent?
for Jessica Andrade, though, do you see her going to 125?
She's been at one. She's fought at 125. I don't know because in a division like that, where I you know what she reminds me of, and mark me if I'm wrong. Remember, damn, I forget his name. This is what makes me not as good as Joe Rogan or any other people who can talk about fighters. Because sometimes names elude me, but I'm gonna go ahead and go to Google because T.J. Dillashaw fought this guy. He had a phenomenal knockout record because he was good, but he had a really big problem making 125. But whenever he did make 125, he did show up. I want to say his name is John Lineker. John Lineker.
Oh wow, good callback.
John Lineker was great at 125 when he made weight, correct?
Mhm.
We knew he was strong. We knew he had the knockout power. And I think that's what's good about Andrade. I think that's what's, in her case, that's what's better for her because she can make the weight, right? But when she gets against certain people, it's like she doesn't win, right? So that's fair. Andrade won the belt. She's done what she has to do. She has nothing left to really prove because I don't think she's going to beat the top people at flyweight, not flyweight, sorry, strawweight. So she should go up to bantamweight. But the same thing happened with Lineker. When Lineker went up in weight, he had early success, but it was really hard for him to get anywhere else because everyone else was just not only bigger, but just technically more advanced. And that's what I worry about with a woman like with Andrade, right? We know she has the power to knock you out, but with the bump up in level at flyweight where they're just a lot more technical, a lot bigger, I wonder if she'll be able to keep up.
Well, my thing with that is Shevchenko is running out of people to fight, and
Shevchenko would flathead. Did you hear that?
but like
What did he say?
He wants Shevchenko to fight Andrade.
Shakugan? Oh,
He wants Shevchenko to fight Jessica Andrade from tonight.
she would be. Oh my God, that would be such a massacre. Yeah, she's way underclass. I think
I think so too. I think Shevchenko wins that fight.
way outclassed.
But I like for Jessica Andrade, that strawweight division is. I think she's always going to be a challenger. Do I see her going to get another title shot? It's going to be super tough. It's going to be super tough. I think the easiest route to get another title shot would be to fight Bellator Shevchenko, and then that's a problem. So for Jessica Andrade, I think she beats a lot of people. I just think when it comes to the elite of the elite, I don't know how she fares, and then when it comes to being a champion again, I just don't know how she gets it done.
Yeah,
And I could be wrong,
Yes,
but I just don't see it with just how she is right now. I could be wrong though.
She's slow and she's big. She's got a lot of power, but Rose, Joanna, the rest of the girls in the class, she's way outclassed.
What's interesting is she fought Joanna before. A lot of people forget that.
And then what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, Joanna pieced her up.
Exactly. Rose
3 pieces of soda, right?
Yeah, 3 pieces of soda.
Yeah, she made Rose quit though. I mean, she just changed her whole outlook on fighting and life when she slammed her on her head.
Yeah.
She quit and walked away, but she came back and she wasn't. I expected a little bit of apprehension, but she was not. She stepped in and all the way through. She faced the fire, did a really good job. And she also mentioned that she does not like the gravity of being champion and all that it brings.
Yeah.
So what is she fighting for?
That's true.
She
That's
had
a
the
very good
belt.
point.
She didn't like it. She didn't like the fame that comes along with it. Maybe I don't know if she changed or not, but why are you here if you don't want to be the champion, if you can't deal with being the champ and all that it brings?
Good point.
That's a pretty good point, really. I never really, you don't really think about that because you win the belt, it is what it is. But if that's not something you want to do, ideally, then maybe it's time for you to step away as a fighter.
But that also makes me think when Rose Namajunas talked about last time, we talked about how she lost her fire, and now she said before not into the fight that she got it back. I wonder if now is her mission. I don't wonder if somebody asked her if now her mission is, I want to be the champion one more time to say that run was all me, that I earned that run, and that I can still be a champion. And maybe after that she just says, you know what, I've won a championship again. I want to retire. But I think that fire is there to be a champion one more time. And you're gonna need that fire to fight Willie Jane.
You're gonna need it. You're gonna need it because that girl, she brings fire to the firefight. She brings the guns. Her nickname is Magnum, I think. Right? Her nickname is Magnum. When have you ever heard someone's name being a gun? Huh? Like, yo, come on, son, get her out of here. She's crazy, right? Deadly.
That Joanna fight.
Yo,
I didn't see your show on that.
Yo, we did one a long time ago. Yeah, we did it a while back, but even then, I didn't watch the fight till like the day after, like right before the show, and even I was impressed. I was like, "Damn, she really brought it to you." Like, Joanna's not used to getting it brought to her.
Not at all.
Under no circumstances is Joanna. The only fight is Rose, but like with a girl like Weili with the strength and the technique. The issue is it's usually the girls have one or the other in this division, right? It's either they have the technique but not the strength, or they have the strength but not all of the technique that the other girl has. But when you have someone who has strength and technique, changes the fucking game, yo.
Yes, sir.
And lastly, let's get to this last one. Paige VanZant loses to Amanda Ribas by armbar. There's not really much to say here besides the fact that this seems like the end for Paige VanZant in the UFC, in my opinion.
Yeah,
she's done. Her mind is not in it. She wants to do stuff on Instagram and hoping to get a movie deal or something like that. I guess she wants to go to Bellator also with her boyfriend / trainer.
That makes so much sense, though.
You're the second. Tyrese said that. Tyrese said that shit. Actually, you're the second person I've heard say that.
She tweeted that she could make more money sitting on her couch at her house, watching TV or doing nothing or something to that effect.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just think that she thinks she overvalues herself. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I don't think her heart's in it. I think she had that last fight to fulfill. Was that her last fight in her contract?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she went out and got paid for it and moving on. In my opinion, I don't know. Sorry.
I agree. I think this is the end for her in UFC. Honestly, I don't think she's a terrible talent, but we talked about this before. Her stardom came fairly early, which is not uncommon in a sport like this, but it can hurt your athletes early, and that's what happened in our opinion. We were talking about this, right, Tyrese? We were talking about this earlier, where like it was too soon, and it's not a bad thing for some people, but like she was product of a generation where they push these young stars super quickly, which is some stars are able to really do the things that the UFC hypes them to do, but a lot of stars fall short of that, and she did.
I think Paige VanZant. I think she still can have a career. I think she could still do well in the UFC. I think in Bellator she may be more compensated because she's able to have sponsors. And I think even without fighting, I think she could do other things without fighting and still be successful. She doesn't need it. And if she can make my stance is, if a fighter can make money, go ahead and do it, because this shit is not forever.
Nope.
And if you can find a way to make more money without getting punched in the face, then go at it, man.
Yeah.
So hopefully she finds maybe she goes to Bellator, maybe she does work there, or maybe she goes and have another career, something else. But I can never get down on her for using what she was given. Like the UFC pushed her and gave her this opportunity,
And that's not her fault. That's not, and it's not a bad thing either.
yeah. So listen, she's gonna do and be successful. I think so, and we'll just see what she does. For Amanda Ribas, this is a great performance and a showcasing moment for her.
Solid performance.
Yeah.
Solid.
I
I think she'll be fighting for the belt eventually. She'll be fighting for the belt eventually. She's just so good technically. She has great jiu-jitsu, which she proved. She's gonna if she like two more wins in my opinion, she's gonna be there.
And lastly, the fight that I was very interested in, a new light heavyweight is now in the UFC, and he is going to be in the rankings very, very soon. It may be a problem. Jiri Prochazka?
Prochaska. That was good. That was good.
See, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. He beat Volkan Ozdemir by knockout, right?
Yeah.
Knockout.
That
And,
was hard to
and
watch.
now with John Jones out of that, well, I don't know if he's vacating the title or not yet. I think he said he's going to vacate it. And John and Dominic Reyes is going to be the next fight for the vacant title, presumably. This guy can, he beat the number 7 guy in the world. He could be a possible contender for the title soon.
Yeah.
That, and he's a former rising champion. He's beaten some big names in the past. Like he has some value to him, man. He's somebody to look out for.
Yeah.
I agree. I'd never seen the guy before or heard of him. I don't know if you guys. I didn't.
I don't know if you were with guys like outside of UFC, we try to stay up to date with them. We don't always do our best, but we try to do our best. Sorry, we are not always great because like there's just so many fighters, right? That's just the game. But we did an episode one time like where we really like actually went out and researched non big promotional fighters, and on Tyrese's list was Jiri Prochazka, and that's because he had beaten CB Dalloway in a fight versus he beat CB Dalloway for like a light heavyweight belt, and CB Dalloway is no slouch. He's a former UFC top 10 opponent. So like when he beat him and definitively by knockout, we were like, Tyrese was like, "Well, wait a minute, that guy might be it. Like, watch out for him." Okay. And just to see him do it in UFC, I'm excited to see where he goes.
And not only that, there was also a little bit of a bidding war for him too, because Bellator also wanted him to fight for their organization, to fight Ryan Bader, who's their champion. So that was also something there. So like he is no joke. He is somebody to look out for. And this light heavyweight division, again, you're getting new stars, new people that's coming on the rise, and Jamal Hill, Jiri Prochazka now. Like these are guys you should look out for. That's going to be a problem, and that's going to be the future of this division.
My only thing is he kept his hands down a lot, and with a guy like Dominic Reyes, a guy like guys who can capitalize like Thiago Santos, those guys can capitalize on it. I still think he'll be a very big problem for them, but I'm interested to see how he develops in UFC as a talent. That's really where I'm at with him. I think he's a solid fighter. That's never going to not be an issue. I just want to see how he develops and progresses his game as a top, because he's going to be a number 7 at this point.
Yep.
You
gotta give him somebody like Anthony Smith is already with somebody, right?
No, don't do that. Anthony Smith's gonna be out for a little bit longer. And
I think he's fighting Rensick next. That's already
Alexander Rensick. Yeah, he's right.
Maybe him, Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker, that guy you just mentioned kind of reminds me of Johnny Walker. The way they're both kind of loose and unorthodox, and hands are down, and he was just a little bit. I agree with you, Elijah. Just a little bit too loose for me. Hands down. Yeah.
But I think I think if that fight had went the distance to 3 rounds, I could see it going towards Ozdemir only because he was getting pieced up too. Like they were both going at it. They kept an incredible pace for guys at 205 pounds, probably weighing in around 250, 220. Not 250, sorry, 215, 220. These are guys who, incredible pace. They were going at it. I was impressed, but I knew I told my brother, like, yo, someone's going to get knocked out shortly. And then boom, it happened.
My impression of that fight was I thought he was more or less showboating and like I like from what I've seen of him in the past, that's not the person that I've seen.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is more him being emotional and maybe, yeah, I think that I want to say that maybe it. Then I've seen him in the past. He didn't really have that kind of
I've
performance.
only seen the CB Dollaway. I mean, he don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, he was very respectful at the end of the fight. Like, it wasn't like
Yeah.
he was about it, but just the hands down, the kind of like goading, it was like interesting. And then he was getting hit. Like Ozdemir, we all know Ozdemir has hands, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested in him. I bought into the stock.
Him versus Johnny Walker. Let's do it.
Do it.
Be a good
Do it.
fight.
I mean, realistically, I don't think it should be Johnny Walker. I could see it being a guy like Mirsha Serkinov.
Or him.
I can see that because Johnny Walker is not in the top 10, is he?
Johnny Walker is in the 12. He's
Number
12.
12, yeah.
I don't think maybe 7 could fight 12. That's not impossible.
Yeah, and that 1 through 9 is pretty much booked up. You got Dominic Reyes fighting John. You got Corey Anderson. Who knows what's going on with him? Glover Teixeira is going to fight Thiago Santos. Anthony Smith is going to fight Alexander Racic. Alex Gustafsson is going up to heavyweight, so I don't know if he's going to stay in the ranking anymore.
I think he dropped out, no? Because
No,
he
he-
retired.
no,
Didn't he retire?
no, he's still in the rankings.
Oh.
So he may fight. He may be out of the rankings soon when he goes with the heavyweight. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of moving pieces to be had. We'll see exactly where Jerry lands, but he's definitely somebody to look out for.
Agreed.
Elijah, we talked about
Sure.
the card. What would you rate this card?
I will just give it on the dominance of 3. I thought the 3 title fights were really good. I won't say they were the best, but I think they were good. I will go ahead and give this fight card, even though it was touted to be the next biggest thing, I'll give it a B+.
Flathead?
Yeah, I think I'll give it a B+. It was pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I think it was a little bit overhyped, but it was the best one I've seen this year, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, the island, the setup down there, really nice. And I watched a lot of stuff leading up to it.
Agreed.
Very interesting. Dana White said it was trending towards Khabib McGregor status. I don't know where it'll wind up being at.
I
I
don't
don't think it'll be
know.
that closer. Sorry?
I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think it'll wind up being that way.
I
Well,
think
who knows?
I think the projection was there. I don't think it
Yeah.
will have done that number. I really don't.
Do you go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, what was that?
With all the smack that Masvidal talked, and I caught you guys, you probably already addressed this. What
Yeah.
does that do to his stock now? Getting ragdolled and beat.
Ooh.
I don't
I mean,
think-
Bad guy, Scarface, the suits, the robes.
you
He got
know,
dragged.
Tyrese, you answer that first because I think you're better to answer that than I am.
I don't
He's
think
gotten
it's-
out because he took the fight on short notice.
That's why. See, I think that's why
Yeah.
it's not going to drop because he still is considered to be,
The guy.
For somebody to take this fight on short notice, even though we know that's not short notice, it's going to be billed as taking on short notice. So that is going to be the narrative. So I don't think Masvidal's stock drops. I think Masvidal is still going to be somebody. Masvidal is always going to be that person that's going to be on ESPN. He's going to be. I think he's always going to have that. I don't think that's ever going to go away. He's fan friendly. People love him. He is on the Nate Diaz level now. It is fair to say he's on Nate Diaz level now, where he can lose a fight and still be relevant and still be appreciated by the fans. So I don't think his stock drops much. Even post fight, him saying that I'm going to take a couple of fights and I'll be back here. That also helps him a little bit because it gives you the fact, okay, maybe he took it on short notice. He's going to go back. He's going to work hard. So his stock to me didn't drop as much. He's definitely reconsider him being a possible champion right now with Kamaru Usman there. But I don't think his stock drops too much.
I'll follow with that. I don't think his stock. I think his stock does drop, obviously. But with that being said, the way he handled himself after this fight, I think that really, really not only gives him eventually he'll fight for the belt again. I just don't see him fighting for the belt again while Kamaru's the champion. Because I truly don't think in my heart of hearts that it's going to end a different way. Like I truly don't see if they fought again that fight ending this in a different possible way. Like I don't see him being able to beat Kamaru Usman while Kamaru Usman's champion. I just don't.
Awesome.
There's nothing in my heart tells me that he'd be able. He can put up a good fight. I think what happens with a guy like Kamaru is that once Kamaru beats you, you're not beating him. He's like a Jones, right? Your best chance to beat Kamaru is the first time, and you know what Kamaru's going to do. You know what he's going to bring to the table. You just can't stop it, and that's why I think Kamaru's going to be champion for a little bit longer.
All right, one more thing, and I'll let you guys. I know you guys want to go. Like I said, I came in late. One more thing. If I could tell Usman one thing, I would tell him to go watch some John Jones fights and watch how John Jones throws elbows when he has someone on the ground. His elbow game was a little bit lacking tonight, in my personal opinion. Look at his elbows and look at how vicious Johnny is.
I will say
John
this.
Bones Jones. If he can tighten that up.
I agree with that. I think that if he can't mirror John. He cannot mirror John because he doesn't have the dimensions to mirror John. John is a unique athlete that comes around once every 1,000 years. There's a prophecy. I'm telling you, I saw it in the Kumite. It's a thing, right? But with that being said, you're right. You take a wrestler and you make him strong with ground and pound like that. I wholeheartedly agree with that because Jones, as a wrestler, being able to strike like that with the elbows in the clinch and on the ground is what defined him in a lot of his fights.
Right.
I agree. And the power of Usman too. You can't lie. That boy's strong.
He is, man. He had him. I'm waiting. I'm like, dude, come on. You got him. Throw some elbows. You got like 30 seconds in the round. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was tired or what, man. He some lackluster, like half-powered elbows. I'm like, guy, come on. So that's one thing I would ask that dude to improve. Otherwise, I see Tyrese is about to block him again.
You should know. Tyrese a hater.
Tyrese got a finger on the button, like that's his button. Finger about to hit the button. You're going down.
Get him out of here,
my brother.
No, I agree. I agree with Usman in his ground and pound. I thought, but also at the same time, I thought he was just mostly just thinking about control. I think he knew he had the fight in the bag, and I think we just looking at control the whole entire time. So I don't think he was really looking to exert himself and do anything extra. Just hold him there. You're already winning the fight. You're already winning the round. Why? What else am I going to do?
That makes sense.
Yeah. I agree. But that being said, and you bringing up Usman in that whole performance again, just make my skin crawl. I cannot rule this a B. I've ruled A+ in the past, so I'm allowed to downgrade a pay-per-view. This one was built up as this is the fight card to watch. This is the one in a lifetime. This Fight Island is the big presentation, big fight field. It was not on the beach, which understandable, but I mean Fight Island. Like they didn't even have them do a standoff on the beach, which I thought was crazy to me. I thought that was a perfect opportunity to have like them on the beach and then them in that cage doing the standoff there. I thought that would have been great. And yeah, this one just was just lackluster. It just did not live up to the hype at all, and it maybe even underachieved what it was supposed to be. I thought the Peter Yan and Jose Aldo fight. That one was, the Jose Aldo performance was really the one that kind of just like brought it down for me. Max Holloway and Volkanovski, that was a great fight. That a little controversial because we thought Max won. We go see how Volkanovski won. So, and then the main event was a downer because, like we said earlier in the show, you can go back and watch it. Jorge Masvidal was talked a lot. He had a whole lot of momentum, and he just did not show up for this fight. And we're not going to sit here and say that it was short notice because we all three of us are educated people. We know the Jorge Masvidal have been training for this fight for a long time. He brought in Helen wrestlers for this fight. He was training with Dustin Poirier for his fight. So we're not going to sit here and say he was fighting on a 6-day notice off the couch. No, he was trained for this. And
can I just say one thing?
But
do we think that he didn't show up, or do we think that's just as good as he's going to get?
He didn't show up.
Food for thought. Food for thought.
He didn't show up.
I think with a guy like Kamaru, I don't think it's going to be much different the second time around.
I think he showed up.
I don't know
He
if
showed up.
I think he showed up too. I think he showed up. I just don't think that, like you said, like Fahad Palace said, like it's just that Kamaru's better than him. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't like. I wish, like, this is sometimes what I think about the Anthony Smith fight with John Jones. It's like Smith was like, "Oh, like I'm the guy to beat him," but what did you do in any of the rounds that convinced us that you were the guy?
That is a great point, Elijah. But I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that Jorge Masvidal can beat Kamaru Usman. Because I think any man could be beaten. That's number one. But from just looking at this fight and looking at Masvidal, he didn't show up because everything that you've been saying that you were looking out for, everything you talked about Kamaru Usman going to crotch sniff and he's going to, yes, he's going to do that. We know that's going to do it. You know he's going to do that. So why don't you do anything about it to make changes to it? There were times where Kamaru Usman wasn't moving forward. There were times when he was standing in front of him. Why would you let your back stand against the cage? Why don't you circle around? Why don't you looking for different things? You know?
Yeah, I agree.
There are things that why were you standing against the cage, smiling and laughing? You didn't show up. You didn't take it. You didn't take it as seriously as you should have.
I think he did show up. We're gonna disagree on this. I think he showed up. I just don't think I don't think what he has is enough to beat Usman. Like I don't mean that any disrespectfully. I don't mean that in any other way. I think that it comes to a certain point where I think you'll not that you'll know if he'll beat somebody or not. I think he knows he has the tools to get the job done. But when it comes down to it, can he get the job done? And I didn't see it happening.
I think he put on a better performance than what he did. I think he can. I think he can do a better performance than what he did. He may lose. He may not beat Kamaru Usman, but I think he can put on a better performance than what he did. And from this to today, it just like he just was accepting everything, which we talked about earlier. So that being said, I give this rating the show a C plus. C.
Wow.
Anything.
Right, Flathead.
Was it Piotr, Jan?
Hey, the Aldo fight really ruined it.
Oh,
for
the
him.
Aldo fight? Oh, okay.
Aldo fight really.
He's about to block me. You're not seeing Tyrese.
No,
Yeah.
It's the hype. It was the I was excited to see this fight card and everything. And you know, I think the best fight in the card was Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas, because it really was a show of display of Rose Namajunas' skill and Jessica Andrade's coming back and what she can do, and Rose Namajunas coming back from adversity. But other than that, man, this card was really, and I give credit to all fighters. And it's something. I'm not going to take away anything, but when you look at this card, if you're looking at going back to watch this card, I wouldn't go back and watch this card.
You wouldn't watch it again?
No,
I wouldn't watch the whole card. I would watch mostly only the 3 title fights.
And even the three title fights, you wouldn't watch the Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman fight. You wouldn't watch the Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo fight. And I don't think I'm not even sure you watch the whole thing of Mike Holloway versus Volkanovski.
Yeah,
I wouldn't watch that again. I'm done watching Mike Holloway.
So C minus.
C minus.
Okay. C minus.
I think if Burns would have fought, it would have been a crappy, a shitty ass. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, go ahead.
It would have been a shittier than what it was. I think. Really? I think the people that are passionate Masvidal fans probably bought most of the pay-per-view buys. Mm-hmm. I think it's huge in their circles. But I thought it was a pretty decent card. I enjoyed that fight because Usman
agreed.
Won. If he'd lost, I'd probably say something different. But I think it was a decent. Card. But if you compare that to the first 2 or 3 fights that we had since COVID, well, we had some bangers there, didn't we? I can't name anybody, but
yeah,
we had some banger fight nights before we even had pay-per-views. We had some banging fight nights
in the last month or so. Yeah, like I said, I'm with Elijah. I see a B plus, but I see what you're saying, though, Tyrese.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I think what thing also brings it down. It was hyped. The hype going into it, the hype, the build, and We didn't talk about this. Jorge Masvidal on the cover of the new UFC game.
I know, right?
And you know that
With,
performance and the build up and the hype is on Fight Island and all this mystique.
Yeah.
And it just went out with a whimper. And
Yeah.
for that reason alone, C-.
Masvidal on that cover with Stylebender
Yeah.
I
from
know.
Nigeria.
I was telling my brother.
Usman's from Nigeria. They
I was
interviewed
telling my
him.
brother.
I'm waiting on him to say, yeah. Did you guys talk about that?
You know what's
Wait,
interesting? They talked about it. They mentioned it in the fight. They were like how Stylebender was like, yeah, like we were very cordial. It was cool. Like I wished him good luck, but like I think and when it went to the interview, Stylebender, what's it called? Stylebender actually did choose. Come on, right away.
Smart pick.
So-
Better than I did.
Are you watching the fight next week, Tyrese, Elijah?
Oh, of course. Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Come on.
or,
I have nothing else to do with my life.
I'm sorry, on Wednesday, 15th.
I have nothing else to do with my life.
I don't know if we're gonna do a show for it.
Yeah.
But we'll be watching. I think there's another fight. There's a fight on Saturday too. I think there's a flyweight fight
Yeah.
that we don't know what the it's going to be.
Is Figueiredo
Yeah.
still happening? Because
I don't know. He tested positive again,
yeah, I saw that.
so
All
I don't
right.
know who we're bringing.
If you guys don't mind, I'd like to jump on next time you have a show. Like I said,
of
I'm just a
course.
casual. I'm not really super knowledgeable about previous fights and history and whatnot.
Most definitely, we'll definitely do this again, man. We appreciate you coming
Thanks a
on.
lot.
Man. We appreciate your support for the show, man. We definitely do.
All right, guys, I appreciate it, man. You guys do an excellent job, though.
Thank you.
We
We appreciate
appreciate
it.
that.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Have a good night.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump off. We'll see you next time. All right. Hey, just if you can't send me an email, I guess if you guys are gonna do something like Saturday or Sunday, I'll see if I can jump on with you if you don't mind.
Most definitely. Most
All
definitely.
right. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, man. You guys have a good night. Good job.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks.
Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is our UFC 251 show. We have now completed an hour and 41 minutes. We are at
C-.
we are at 3 a.m. 3:37 a.m.
Yeah. But we do it for you guys.
Yeah, we do it for the fans. Tyrese is obviously shocked. I don't get to rub these in his face quite often, but I have 4 out of 5 fucking picks. Woo-hoo! Yo, Tyrese. That hurt. Tyrese. I just want to say, I'm not saying you don't know what you know, but do I know what I know? Can I hear that? Do you? I know you know what you know, but I'm not discrediting you because you be calling it and I be wrong a lot too. You know what I'm saying? I just be wrong. But do I know what I know, Tyrese?
If Jose Aldo would have sticked with the leg kicks.
Tyrese, that's not what I asked you. We know what would happen if he did that. What I asked you was, Tyrese, do I know what I know?
You know what you know. You know what you know, young Hopper.
The good brother Tyrese Simon.
For the people watching, we appreciate you. For the people going to watch in the future, we appreciate you. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment what you think of UFC 251. We think of the show, and please share. We love to hear your feedback on the show. And we love to interact with you guys. Just like I have politics, we'd love to have more people on the show potentially.
Yeah. Agreed. All right.
Signing off. My name is Cyrus Simon.
It's Elijah Jones, and it's almost 4:00.
C- show. C-.
Get off. Good night, everyone.
Aldo should have thrown the leg kicks.
Oh my God. I'm out.